We are convinced that many have tried in the past to steal the secrets of how to transform base metals into gold, yet the real secret was a metaphorical idea of a masterpiece that only wise humans could comprehend. The three primes in alchemy or tria prima are as follows: sulfur, the omnipresent spirit of life, representing masculinity; salt, base matter, representing the material realm; mercury, the fluid connection between the high and the low, representing femininity. Also, the four elements were very important in alchemy. Fire, water, earth and air were known as primary principles. The seven primary metals which are ruled, influenced or dominated by the first seven heavenly bodies in alchemical are as follows: gold, dominated by the sun, which provides energy and life to everything in the solar system. It represents a sense of self and willpower. Corresponds to the heart, spinal column, vision and distribution of heat in the body. Silver, dominated by the moon, which influences growth, water, fertility, emotions, instinct, the subconscious mind, psychic phenomenon and cycles. It corresponds to brain and female organs, stomach and the fluids in the body. Copper, dominated by Venus, which influences spirits, magic, music, arts, meditation of the opposites into a whole, and love. Venus corresponds to the skin, kidneys, smell and sexual organs. Iron, dominated by Mars, which influences violent energy, increases psychic ability, motion and power in the physical realm. Mars corresponds to the muscular system, adrenaline and male sexual organs. Tin, dominated by Jupiter, which influences health, wealth, philosophical and religious matters. Jupiter corresponds to the liver, digestion and assimilation of oxygen and nutrition. Mercury, dominated by Mercury, which influences communication, commerce, initiation on the mysteries, alchemy, Kabbalah, astrology, magic, dexterity and mental skills. Mercury corresponds to the nerves, speech and hearing, throat, thyroid, nervous system and spinal fluid. Lead, dominated by Saturn, which influences chronic disease, karma, old age and learning. Saturn corresponds to the bones, teeth, spleen, minerals in the body, hair. The seven chemicals ingredients of the impressive experiment date back to Akhenaten's time, and were fairly well known to medieval alchemy. The most important of the arcana, the one in which all other reactions took place, was vitriol. Vitriol can be broken down into sulfuric acid and iron compounds. Calcination is the first operation in the transformation process. Chemically, calcination is heating a substance until it's reduced to ashes. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by sulfuric acid. Psychologically it represents the destruction of the ego. Physiologically is the aerobic activities and burning of the body fat. Calcination begins in the root chakra. In society, it can be expressed by revolutions. As a planetary level, it represents the fire of creation. Dissolution: chemically it is the dissolving of the ashes of the calcination in water. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by iron oxide, rust. Psychologically this represents the breaking down of the non-rational feminine or rejected parts of our minds. It can be engaged in creative acts, without traditional prejudices. Physiologically it is the recharging of all our cells in the body by having a Kundalini experience. Dissolution takes place in sacral chakra. In society, it is represented by agriculturally based lifestyles. On the planetary level, it represents the Great Flood, the cleansing of the earth. Separation: chemically it is the isolation of the components of dissolution. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by the compound sodium carbonate. Psychologically, this is the process of rediscovery of our essence, claiming of dream and visionary gold previously rejected by the masculine rational part of our minds. Separation represents the discovery of our true selves and letting go of our self-inflicted restraints. Physiologically represents controlling and following our breath in the body. Located at the level of the solar plexus chakra. In society, separation is represented by nationalities, cities and clans. At the planetary level, separation is the forming of the landmasses from the forces of the four elements. Conjunction, chemically represents the recombination of the saved elements from separation into a new substance. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by potassium nitrate. Psychologically it is the empowerment of our true selves. The combination of our personalities into a new state of consciousness. Alchemists called this the lesser stone, and it represents our ability to discern what needs to be done to achieve enlightenment. It is related to synchronicities that occurs and confirms that this alchemist is on the right track. Physiologically represents the body's sexual energies to perform the transformation. The heart chakra is where the conjunction takes place. In society, it is represented the will to master our environment. On the planetary level, the conjunction occurs when primordial life forces are created from the energies of the sun. Fermentation is the process that begins with the putrefaction of the hermaphroditic child, from the conjunction, resulted in its death and resurrection to a new level of being. Chemically, the fermentation is the growth of organic solvents such as milk transformation in cheese, or grapes into wine. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by ammonia and hydrogen sulfide. Psychologically the process of fermentation starts with the inspiration of spiritual power. Fermentation can be achieved by various techniques that include psychedelics, transpersonal therapy, meditation, and intense prayer. Physically, fermentation is the vibratory tones and spoken truths that emerge from the Kundalini energy and is represented by the throat chakra. In society, it is represented as the roots and bases of religions. At a planetary level, it is the evolution of life to produce higher states of consciousness. Distillation. Chemically, distillation represents the boiling of fermented solutions to increase its purity, such as brandy, a strong alcoholic spirit distilled from wine. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by black antimony and purified sulfur. Psychologically it represents the purification of the unborn self, all that we truly are and can be. Physiologically, distillation is what alchemists called the circulation of the light, culminating in the third eye area at the levels of the pituitary and pineal gland, in the third eye chakra. In society, it is experienced as objective experimentation. On a planetary level, distillation is the realization of the power of higher love. Coagulation. Chemically it is the sublimation of the purified ferment from the distillation. In Arcanum experiment it is represented by a purified sulfur and red mercuric oxide. Psychologically, coagulation is first sensed as a new confidence that is beyond all things. It releases the astral body, also referred to as the philosopher's stone. Physiologically this state is creating a body of light that emerges through the crown chakra. In society, it represents the living wisdom in which everybody exists in evolved consciousness and knowledge of the truth. On a planetary level, the coagulation represents the return to the Garden of Eden, this time on a higher level and in tune with the divine mind.